Hello and welcome to Biblical Marriages Unfiltered episode 2. Good afternoon. How are you doing today? Hope you went to church today. My name is Amamira Kulundono Fit, and today we'll be talking about Abraham and Sarah. Last week we spoke about Adam and Eve, and today we're going to continue with Abraham and Sarah. What's about these two people? What happened with their marriage? How did they live as a couple? And what were the challenges they faced? What were the mistakes they made? What were their victories? We're going to be looking at it quickly today. You'll find them in Genesis chapter 12 to Genesis chapter 21. It spoke extensively about this couple. So let's talk about Abraham. Abraham was a visionary, right? Abraham was a faith-driven man. Abraham was also a passive home leader. He was a visionary, he was a faith-driven man, but he was a passive home leader. He was not really a leader in his home, right? He allowed anything to happen. He allowed everybody to run amok in his home. Abraham was also a doubter. You see that thing now, that father of faith. Have you read about Abraham? You think Sarah was a doubter? Abraham was the number one chief doubter. I tell you, you need to go back and study it and see what he said. After God took him outside and showed him the stars and all that, the guy still doubted too, right? Abraham was also self-preserving. He was also very selfish. You see, when we read about these people in the Bible, we think they were perfect. They were not perfect. So don't be wondering that, oh, how will I ever attain the level of perfection that these people had? You don't need to, because these people were not perfect at all. All right, let's talk about Sarah. Sarah was loyal. Sarah was a very loyal woman, a very loving woman. She loved her husband, right? She loved her husband to the point of agreeing to be sold into prostitution for her husband. Sarah was impatient. She was impatient. Even after Abraham had said, see what God has said, we'll have a child. Sarah decided she needs to take her own course, right? Sarah was emotionally expressive. When she was angry, she said, she did not make Abraham to start guessing what was happening to her, what she was thinking when she was thinking it. Sarah was a manipulator. She was a manipulator. She knew what she wanted and she manipulated her husband at times to get it. Sarah was a very beautiful woman. She was also a doubter. Sarah was a mean madam. She was a mean madam. If you look at her story with Hagar, Sarah was mean. She wasn't all that nice. And another thing was that Sarah honored her husband. She honored her husband's words. So these are the things about Sarah. So what were their challenges? What challenges did they face? First, they faced childlessness. They faced long seasons of waiting, long waiting seasons. They faced external influences in their marriage. They faced poor marital decisions. And they also faced using human solutions for divine promises. They faced these things as a couple. So let's dive into them. Let's see, what exactly is it about this couple? First, Sarah loved her husband and her husband loved her. So first, they loved each other. They really loved each other in their marriage, right? Now, Sarah was a woman that could take risks for love. She could take risks for love. She could endure for love. Can you take the risks this woman took? When her husband said, they might kill me if they find out you're my wife. Let's tell them you're my sister. She agreed because she wanted to preserve her husband's life. She was loyal. She was loyal, and for love, she could take that risk. What risk are you willing to take in your marriage as a woman? How far can you go for your husband? How far can you go to cover your husband? You see, women can lie to cover their men. She lied. She followed the lie. She followed to say, yes, I'm his sister, just to cover him. But it's something that most men will not do. A lot of men will not lie to cover their wives. They will rather expose her. But women are amazing. I'm telling you today, women are very amazing. They would lie, they would endure, they would accept so many things just to cover their husbands, just to be loyal, just to be kind, just to be good to their husbands. Men are selfish. Abraham said, they will kill me, or if they find out you're my wife, they are going to kill me. So pretend that you're my sister. He was selfish. That's the definition of selfishness. He was preserving himself. He didn't even think about what could happen to this girl if I allow her go into these places with these men. What if they rape her? What will happen to her? What if something goes wrong? What if they kill her? He was all about preserving himself. He was all about saving himself. So you see, men are self-preserving by nature. That is why something goes wrong in a marriage, something goes wrong in a relationship, the man actually lays the blames on his wife. He makes sure that she's the one who carries the whole blame, right? Men are selfish. Men are the ones that can offer their wives to another man. Women will scarcely do that. Men can offer their wives. We've seen it happen in recent times, not just in biblical days. Men can offer their wives to other men, but women, they don't do that. A woman will not share her husband, but a man can share his wife. We've heard such things happening even in recent times, not just in Abraham's times, right? So this was one of the issues they also faced. I used to think, what did Sarah think, right, when they gave her out to other men? Knowing the dangers that could happen, knowing things that could occur, knowing things that could happen to her. Thank God for God, though, because if God did not intervene, I don't know what would have happened to that lady, right? And not once, but twice. And she agreed to it. She's an amazing woman. Okay. Now, God speaks to men primarily when it comes to marriage, when it comes to the family. God speaks to the man primarily. The woman is not the first recipient of God's words to a family. It should be the man. That's why the man is the spiritual head of the family. You're supposed to receive from God for your family. You're supposed to hear from God for your wife. Women always have a counter plan. Remember, these are the things you should note about this too, about their marriage, so that you can work it out in your own marriage. Women always have a counter plan. See, when you're agreeing or planning anything with a woman, she always has a reserve plan. So know it and know peace. Men should know when to stand firm and on what is right. Abraham was not a firm leader. He was a passive leader. We could see that when Sarah said, sleep with my maid. He agreed. Now, don't tell me he was admiring the maid before. He was not. If he was, he would have slept with her. These are Middle Eastern men. And Middle Eastern men, women are not so much honored and revered amongst them, right? So he would have easily slept with any woman in that camp. He would have easily picked a girlfriend. But he did not, because he loved his wife and he was faithful to his wife. So when Sarah said, sleep with my maid, the guy, because he was a passive leader, even with all that God had told him, he agreed and did. Sarah said, chase the maid away when she was pregnant. He agreed and chased. Chased the maid away with her son when they had the son. He agreed and chased. That's passive leadership. A man is supposed to stand on what is right. He's supposed to know when to be firm in your marriage and not give in to anything and everything your wife says, no matter how much you love her. Beware of women's suggestions. As a man, beware of women's suggestions, because in it is a seed of quarrel. In women's suggestions, you find the seed of quarrel. Like Sarah suggested, sleep with my maid and let's have a son. Now she first still bring quarrel inside the matter. It was her suggestion, the quarrel still came from her. So as a man, be smart. When your wife is bringing suggestions, be very smart. Because inside that suggestion, quarrel will come outside. All right. You see, it's not today the house help started taking husbands. When Sarah brought Hagar to sleep with her husband, she wanted a son. She forgot that Hagar is a human being and will have emotions and feelings too. Hagar would also fall for her husband. So house helps taking husbands didn't start from today. So when you're exposing your husband to house helps, when you're exposing your husband to helps to different kinds of people coming into your home, especially young girls, you have to be careful, because this thing started and it's not stopping anytime soon till rapture. So you have to be careful exposing your husband to helps in the house. Now, when there's a quarrel between house help and wife, you should be smart. Even when your wife is wrong to take her place, you dare not take the house help's place. For your own good. Abraham tried to take the house help's place. Like, this woman has a child for me, right? I need to take her place. I need to, not chase her away. God said, Oga, for your own good, just chase her. Even God agreed that the woman has the ultimate power in the house, that you should chase the house help away. So when there is issue in your home between your wife and your house help, no matter who is right, please, Oga, take your wife's side for your own good. Another thing we saw was that Abraham allowed his wife to answer for herself. When God asked, Sarah, did you laugh? Abraham did not say, don't mind her. That's how she's foolish. That's how she displays nonsense. Nye, 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 nye. Like most men behave like their wives, do not have any mouth to speak, especially in public. You treat your wife like she doesn't have sense, like she has nothing to offer, like she has nothing to say. Abraham did not do that. You see, when we see Sarah calling Abraham Lord, you know, they see what Abraham they do. Abraham was a woman rapper. He was his wife's rapper. She used him to do whatever she wanted. So when she calls him Lord, don't be deceived and say, Sarah used to honor her husband. Did you read what her husband does for her? He practically does everything that girl says, everything she says, even the ones that are against God's plan. God even had to support Sarah in the matter and said, if they say send away, please send away, for peace to reign. All right, so let's look at the 10 marriage lessons we learned from Abraham and Sarah. What are the 10 marriage lessons we can draw from Abraham and Sarah? First things first is that waiting seasons test your marriage deeply. Whether you're waiting for financial miracle, you're waiting for a child, most especially, it tests your marriage deeply. So knowing that makes you prepare for that test. Knowing that makes you ready to wade through the storm, makes you ready to fight the battle together. Waiting seasons test your marriage deeply. Number two, pressure can push couples into a wrong solution. Pressure can push couples into a wrong solution. That's why we tell our society, don't pressure couples based on anything they don't have yet, especially when they are looking for children. Do not pressure them. Father, mother, brother, sister, uncle, pastor, whoever you are, do not pressure a couple who are, looking for something, because you could pressure them into the wrong solution. A lot of people have gotten evil children. A lot of people have died in the quest of getting solutions to their troubles because of pressure. So you're a mother-in-law, you're a father-in-law, you're a sister-in-law, you're a brother-in-law, you're a friend, whatever you are, when a couple is going through lack of anything, or they are after something, or there is something they still don't have in their marriage, please do not pressure them. Stay away. Allow them to go through their thing and find their solution the right way. Number three, agreement doesn't always mean wisdom. Agreement doesn't always mean wisdom. Abraham knew better. God told him, I'm going to give you a son. But he still agreed to sleep with Hagar. That did not show wisdom, even though he agreed. So the fact that the two of you and your husband agreed over anything, doesn't show there is wisdom. Doesn't mean that it is wise because both of you agreed over it. You can agree over foolishness. So it's better to know what is wise and then agree over it. Number four, third parties complicate marriages. Now waiting with a suffer na be that now. Third party. Hagar, third party, has complicated, not has complicated, actually complicated Abraham's marriage and complicated all our lives. Ishmael and Isaac, the fight still continues till today because of third parties. Avoid third parties. As much as you can avoid third parties, they complicate your marriage. Avoid that girl you're going to check, that little girl you like in your office. Avoid it. Avoid that guy that is chatting you because your husband doesn't have your time. Avoid it. These things complicate marriages. Number five, faith must be mutual, not one-sided. It was almost as if their faith was one-sided. It was only Abraham believing, trying to believe, trying to fight through the having a child thing, while Sarah was busy doing her plans and doing her stuff, right? So faith must be mutual, not one-sided. So also you find some men, they tell their wives, go and pray, go and get answers from God. Is it not other women that are praying? Go and pray, and they will not pray. Faith must be mutual, not one-sided. Number six, emotional pain affects marital decisions. When Sarah was upset because Hagar was looking down on her because she was now pregnant, she now made decisions that affected their marriage. Abraham was upset with her, of course. So when you have emotional pain, it can affect your marital decisions and make you make the wrong decisions, make you do the wrong things in your marriage. God's promise doesn't excuse bad choices. God promised them that they will have a son. They detoured. They went the wrong way and they got into trouble. So the fact that God promised you doesn't mean your bad choices will be excused. You will experience the repercussions of your bad choices like we are experiencing it today. Well, how many years after we are experiencing the repercussions of Abraham and Sarah's bad choices? Consequences can outlive repentance or more. Consequences can outlive repentance. Long after you've repented, you're still suffering the consequences of what you did. We are suffering the consequences of what Abraham and Sarah did, even when they had repented from it. Couples must learn to wait together for anything they are waiting for. Do not abandon one person to be waiting. It's not the woman's duty to get a child. It's not the man's duty to get a child alone. Both of you must wait together, not one person waiting and crying while the other person is pointing hands, and threatening to do some other things, that is against the marriage. So couples must learn to wait together. God can redeem even messy marriages. God can redeem even messy marriages. Like Abraham's marriage was a mess. There were a lot of troubles, a lot of issues, but God still redeemed that marriage and gave them a son, and their joy was complete. So also your marriage, no matter how messy it has gotten, God can redeem it. No matter how messy your marriage has gotten, God can redeem it. Now, what's our takeaway? Not every option is a God solution. Some shortcuts will cost you years of peace. Not every option you take today is a God solution, because those shortcuts you're looking at taking today can cost you years of peace. See, the years of peace between the Gaza people and the Israelis is all part of the decision of Sarah and Abraham. So it can cost you years of peace. It's better to be sure that this is God's option and choose God's option rather than thinking that this might be God's option. Being sure is much, much better than trying to see. Thank you so much for watching today's episode of Biblical Marriages Unfiltered. I will be coming to you live next Sunday with another marriage from which we'll learn so much. Do subscribe to our YouTube channel, Sacred Unions and Desires, and you will get a lot more of these videos where you learn one or two things that will be good for your marriage. I love you. God bless you.